What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Cjthecheesedj here, the tiny little speck on your screen in between the gigantic herbivore on your right. So you're probably wondering why we've got such a variety of dinosaurs around us today. Well, today we're looking at Ark's top max speed dinos. Now you can see around us we've got a Diplodocus, a Gallimimus in between the Diplodocus's legs, a Utaranus, a Procoptodon, an Allosaurus, and an Iguanodon next to the Galley. Now, exclude the Griffin, he's just my means of transportation. So yeah, like I said, we're discussing the fastest land dinos in Ark today. And these guys around us have the fastest land speed in the game, excluding the Diplodocus. But we'll get to that in a moment. So kicking off the list at number 1 is the Gallimimus. Now, this guy has the fastest base land movement speed in the game. Sitting at 2100, he is insanely fast. Like, that is pretty fast. Now, if you pump up his movement speed even more, he just gets even more ridiculously fast. So this guy is in at number 1 with 2100. Now we're going to pump up his movement speed just a little bit here. It's only going up by 4 levels, but that should be enough to see a difference in comparison to what we were running at before. You can see it's probably not as noticeable, but he is able to jump and he is the fastest land dinosaur. So he's technically plausible that he is able to cover the most distance on terrain in Ark. Number 2. So at number 2 is the Procoptodon. Now this guy is the second fastest land dino in Ark with a base movement speed of 1784. Now you're probably wondering why we're saying those numbers. There, it's actual numbers when you tame it up, not the movement speed percentage. So his actual base movement speed is 1784. When you bump up their movement speed, they gain 1% on that. That's why the movement speed is set to that. Now, as well as this, the Procoptodon also has the ability to jump, much like the Gallimimus. However, the Procoptodon is much more capable of traversing larger terrains because he has a much larger jump. And you can see here, he's just soaring through the skies. Like, you can easily climb mountains with this guy. Okay, probably not that mountain in front of us, but you can climb mountains with him because he's such a good jumper. And, you know, some people might argue, well, the Beezel Bufo is the same and he covers water as well. That's true, but the Beezel Bufo isn't as fast as the Procoptodon. However, the Procoptodon is obviously limited to the land, unlike the Beezel Bufo, which is just as good in the water. Number 3. So sitting at number 3 is the Utaranus. Now this guy has a base movement speed of 1610. So he's only about 150 underneath the Procoptodon's base movement speed. And you can see here, he is pretty fast when you look into his bulk size and like how big he is and everything. However, the big downside of the Utaranus is that he runs out of stamina very quickly. You can see here, we're pretty much out of stamina after about 20 seconds of running. So you've got to take that into consideration when you consider this guy to use as like a terrain traversal guy, because obviously he's not going to have a lot of stamina at your base levels to run for such a long amount of time. So you're probably better off taming something like the Procoptodon, obviously, or like any of the other dinos on this list just for that purpose. However, this guy is number 3 with 1610 base movement speed. Number 4. So at number 4 on this list, it's the Allosaurus. Now this guy has a base movement speed of 1579. So he's technically only 40 underneath the Utaranus. And you can see he is pretty speedy. Granted, he doesn't have the ability to jump, and much like the Utaranus, his stamina is pretty terrible when you first tame him. So unless you're going to dump a few points of stamina into him, he's not really good for long distance running, but he is still good for short distance sprinting in the short run because of his high movement speed, obviously. However, his stamina is lacking, like I said, so he obviously tries and contemplates that with his pure ferociousness, as this guy is probably one of the most powerful dinos on Ark with his bleed attack, especially with the pack bonus. So you've also got to take that into consideration when you're deciding what dino you want to use to cover terrain. You've also got to think about the attack factor and the defense factor, as well as the health factor, because some of these dinos are slightly lower on the health side of things as well as the melee damage side of things. Number 5. Sitting at number 5 is the Iguanodon. Now, in my honest opinion, this and the Procoptodon are probably the two best land dinos to use to cover terrain. Now the Procoptodon, obviously because of his good jumping ability, his really big stamina usage, and the ability to carry an extra player in its pouch. And the Iguanodon, because it has the ability to use unlimited stamina. That's right, you heard me correctly. It does not run out of stamina while sprinting on all fours. You can see here, our stamina bar in the top right corner is not depleting whatsoever. As well as this, he also has the ability to jump. However, he only has this ability while he's bipedal. You can see here, we are currently bipedal, and this is the only mode he uses stamina in. However, this is the only mode he's able to jump in as well as attack in. But you don't really need to worry too much about that, because all you've got to do is pump this guy up in his movement speed and weight, and you'll be easily able to outrun most of the creatures on Ark due to them running out of stamina, as well as players and other tamed dinosaurs that players have tamed up, because like I said, they will run out of stamina and you will not. So you can continuously keep sprinting for as long as your heart desires. Number 6. Number 6 on the list is the Diplodocus. Now, this guy only has a base movement speed of 1350, so there are other dinosaurs that are faster than him. However, he is on the list because he has the ability to carry an extra 10 players with him, therefore making him probably one of the best movers in Ark, because he does have a very good movement speed. You can see here, considering his huge size and the ability to transport that many players, he's a really good dino to tame up, and is the reason why he's got a spot on this list as number 6. Just because of his ability to carry the extra players and his movement. You would think a dinosaur much like this guy would be a lot slower than he is, but he's actually really fast in consideration to standards, and like say the Iguanodon, the Uranus, and the Allosaurus. Now his stamina usage is also really good. You can see that we're just hitting half at the moment, and you know, he's still got plenty of life in him. And we are pretty far from the starting point from which he started. As well as that, these guys, I find them kind of adorable with their little front teeth hanging out. So that's just an added bonus for me. But yeah, the ability to carry 11 players all together is incredible, especially when you've got big tribes and you need to get to a spot really quickly and you've got no flyers available to yourself. Well, here's the guy for you. Now, I especially see this guy being useful in the new Aberration servers coming up, if he's included in the Aberration world, because of his ability to carry the extra players. Like, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Alrighty guys, that'll be it for today. Let me know what you thought of the new layout and the list. Let me know if you would include or change anything. Remember, this is only land dinos. We will be doing one for air and sea dinos as well, so keep an eye out for that, guys. But other than that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.